An inscription is found on one of the works from Lithuanian-born American artist Ben Shahn. It includes, "To go against conscience is neither right nor safe. I will not recant. No man can command my conscience." Keeping the conscience clear is critical to keeping one's integrity. This most certainly is tested in one's life. Born 1628 in England, John Bunyan lived in a time when the state required its approval before anyone can teach the Bible to a group of 5 or more. Mr. Bunyan refused to seek the state's license and was imprisoned 12 years. All he had to do was recant of his behavior, and he would have been set free. His reply, "I will stay in jail to the end of my days before I make a butchery of my conscience." Abraham Lincoln was overheard when he said, "No client ever had enough to bribe my conscience." Our last video introduced us to the subject of conscience, defined it, and suggested it is not something man created, that this is something innate, possibly given to us at conception. Although conscience, on one hand, may be considered a gift, it may also be deemed a curse if we wish to feed our selfish purposes. At times when we're selfish, we might wish the conscience is something we can turn off. This may be by simply attempting to ignore it. If we attempt to do so, turn it off, could it be the first step at self-destruction? You see, our conscience might not be so subtle. There's an op-ed printed in a New Zealand newspaper dated October of 1890 entitled "Wit and Wisdom." From this article it reads, "Conscience is never dilatory in her warnings. Since the conscience will not delay, it can hurt." John Ellis Large put it this way, "The most painful wound is a stab of conscience." Although conscience may never go away, it can be, if often ignored enough, cauterized. This is to render our sense of right from wrong insensitive. This is shown in a letter the Apostle Paul wrote to one of his protégés. He wrote of the insincerity of liars who seared their own conscience. It is from the word sear that one can cauterize, render insensitive his own conscience. This is done through repetition. English novelist Samuel Butler put it this way, "Conscience is thoroughly well-bred and soon leaves off talking to those who do not wish to hear it." And this is dangerous. We don't know who said it, but the maxim rings true. Conscience can't be compromised without being imperiled. How are you doing? Are you at crossroads and having to choose between what is popular versus what is right? Perhaps you are in a place where you have a reasonable desire, but switch from wanting it to demanding it. If so, does your conscience ring loud? If it does, are you listening? Or is the inner ear becoming dull of hearing? Feel free to leave a comment and we'll see you next time.